guys, I'm here now for maybe episode 7 of INTJ Versus, and we have an intuitive today, and his name is Sean.
Hey guys.
Awesome. He's an INFP, and so it's gonna be a lot of fun having another intuitive, and let's get into it. Okay, that's what I do. First thing I always ask an intuitive is, at what age did you realize you were weird?
What age did I realize I was weird?
Yeah.
I want to say around 13. Around 13 when I started to like notice that I was kind of like vibing with like the quieter kids in class. Then we just started like grabbing lunch together, and then we started like kind of like hanging out more and more. I guess that's also when I started becoming like a little bit more sociable, because I had no friends before that whatsoever. But at least now I was making, at least now I was making friends, doing those with the weird kids.
What type of weird kids?
Usually the nerdy ones, the quiet ones.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, the awkward ones. I guess that's how we vibe.
Did you have like any odd or like offbeat interest?
I mean,
like things you were into.
I guess compared to like the rest of my classmates, because there was a lot of like nerdy stuff. Again, it was like comic books, like anime, video games. Yeah, like just very, very nerdy stuff. A lot of horror movies, I guess, too, because I remember we would vibe over horror movies a lot. Like
Freddy or Chucky, or like more...
All the classic stuff.
Nice. I think for me, it was elementary school, because I could spend a lot of, like, it was like, when it came to having friends, it was either I had a bunch of friends or I had no friends.
Yeah.
So there were times where I had a bunch of friends and it was fine, and then something would happen and I would be by myself, and I realized I was okay by myself. So I started like making up a lot of like narratives in my head as an elementary school kid.
How so?
I used to make up a lot of lies about what my life was, like that I was like a princess, or that like, oh, there's a actress from when we were younger, and she was in Harriet the Spy.
Michelle Trachtenberg, yeah,
okay,
of course.
That was Harriet the Spy. Do you remember that movie?
No, I don't remember. I remember Michelle Trachtenberg.
Okay, but there was a black girl in that movie and a little princess, and we kind of looked alike. And so I remember it was like my first day at school, so someone's like, oh, are you so-and-so from Little Princess? I was like, oh yeah, that's great.
Wow.
Oh my god, so like,
you just ran with it.
Yeah, I just 100% ran with it, and so it was like weird, and I realized, oh wait, everyone doesn't do weird shit like that. So that was like my first foray. For reference, he's an INFP, and I'm an INTJ, right? Okay. And when we talk about that little added part of T versus A, T means turbulent, and the A would be assertive, right? And it doesn't actually mean what the word is, like it's like its own like little vocabulary, right? So basically, just if you were an A, it would mean you were stress resistant, and you being turbulent means you're the opposite of stress resistant.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it's and just the idea of that is not, it's not what do they call it? It's like in comic books, canon. It's not canon.
It's not canon.
Yeah, it's not canon.
That's the way I can understand it.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. So yeah, it's not canon at all. It's literally, for me, it's like a funny thing in the forums, because it just means like, yeah, just a little on the crazier side, basically. Just a little bit, just a tad, not a lot. So that's what that is. I want to give you some stats. Okay, so for your type is overall 4% of the population, and as a male, it's literally 1.5% of males.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
My type is 2% of the population and 0.5% of 1% of like females.
So it's very small.
It's a very small, yeah. So if there was ever a feeling in your life that like, oh, I'm kind of different than other people, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was right all these years.
Yes, it was not a lie. These were all truths. They were definitely all truths. And so we're gonna kind of get into why and like how that overall manifests. But I do want to say, like, because I do believe in individuality too, so it's like MBTI is like I like to think of it as like a skeleton, you know what I mean? Like the meat and the bone, no, not the bones, the meat and the skin and all the other stuff is like your unique shit, you know, like things that like shaped you in your environment, your upbringing, that make you you. But the skeleton is like something where it's like foundational, and it's literally patterns. And if you're someone that like cares about patterns, which I feel like your type would care about patterns, or in pattern recognition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, then it'll have like, you know, importance and like relevance to you. It doesn't, I've definitely seen with other people, like it doesn't have the most relevance for everyone, but I do hope that they get like something out of it, you know, at the end of it all. And a lot of these stuff will be edited. Okay, so now I want to talk about famous INFPs. This is not because they actually took the test. These are just like the MBTI nerds like supposing this. Okay.
That's where they could gather from like interviews.
Yeah, they gather from interviews and like the content of their work. Okay, so you've got a really good crew here. You've got William Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, John Mayer, Kurt Cobain, David Lynch, Bob Marley.
Yes, you made my day with that.
Yeah, nice. Princess Diana, Johnny Depp, John Lennon, Luke Skywalker, for talking about characters, and people said Evil Kermit.
Evil Kermit.
Yes, they added that part in. And so like, when you like hear that, do you see things where it's like overall you're like, oh, I can kind of see it?
David Lynch is literally my favorite director ever, so like, yeah, totally, I can see it.
Yeah, no, awesome. And another thing that I notice, like anytime I see like in the forums where people are like, oh, we think this person's an INFP, it's always someone that I feel is generally well liked. It has never been anyone I've seen where I'm like, oh, I don't like this person. Like, you know, everyone loves Kurt Cobain, everyone loves, you know, Princess Diana.
True.
So kind of like, despite whatever like differences people might have in ideology or whatever, like everyone's like, oh, these are like generally cool people. So that's like always been my my general like perception.
They're at least cool in my book.
Yeah, yeah, right? Yeah, definitely. Do you think you know anyone that's kind of like you in real life?
Anyone that's kind of like me?
Yeah.
I would have to say my little brother.
Oh.
My little brother is definitely like me, even though he's like, I mean, we're barely like, we're not even that like apart in years and stuff like that, but we're definitely like the ones that are closest, and I think that's because we are so similar in the way we are. Definitely.
Are you the oldest?
No, I have 4 siblings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I am the second youngest.
You're the second youngest. Okay, so you're kind of like the middle child in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you the oldest boy?
No, I'm the middle one.
You're the middle boy. Okay.
The three.
So it's like a boy, your sister, you, and then your brother.
It's my 2 sisters, then my older brother, me, and my little brother.
Oh right, no, so it's 5 of you guys all together. Okay, it's 5 of you guys. Okay, that's a full freaking house.
I know.
Yeah, that's a full house. Which one of your siblings do you think you're most not like?
Most not like?
Yeah.
Definitely
the oldest sister?
my oldest sister and my older brother. Definitely, because they're definitely like similar, but like we could not be like more different in terms of like personality. But I mean, we're still like super close and things like that. But like in terms of like we are, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of times when I see it's like a lot of siblings, I find like the middle and younger kids are like closer.
Yeah.
I just see that, and then sometimes I see like the oldest child is like closer to the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, you know, I guess it just makes sense.
I never thought about it like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Alright, so I'm going to get into the functions really soon, but there was another point that I wanted to make that another unusual thing is me being a T female and you being an F male is like breaking a lot of like presupposed like gender roles, you know? Okay. So, I feel like it's a plus. I mean, I can think of definitely a lot of minuses, but I think it's a plus because I feel like we can be gateways between the sexes in terms of like understanding each other. So for example, like with me personally, if I have guy friends and they've literally used me for this, where they're like, Vanita, my girlfriend's saying something crazy, I don't understand. Can you talk to her? Yeah, and translate it from crazy girl to dude. I'm like, I'll try my best. And then I do it, because like I have like a base level understanding, which also helps me at my job, obviously. Do you ever like see that sometimes?
I feel like with my closer female friends that I can be that guy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a level of comfort that they feel with me as compared to my other like closer guy friends that they feel with me but not with them. Even like between our group, because even if it's like a group, I feel like there's certain things that they feel comfortable talking to me about that they won't feel comfortable like that with them.
No, that makes sense. What about your, I guess I'm gonna ask about the opposite then, like your guy friends? or like, let's say you have a guy friend that's like complaining to you about like something with their girlfriend. Is it like, can you see both sides of it, or is it like, are you generally always seeing the male side of it, or?
I can definitely see like both sides of it.
Yeah.
And it definitely gets into it with my guy friends sometimes, because like I'll call them out on it if I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think that I like to put myself in like the neutral like position. And just kind of call things how they are.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, I definitely see that too, and that like brings us perfectly into talking about like the 4 functions now. For whatever reason, I feel like now there's just so much spinning in my head to try and explain it. But okay, think of it this way. Okay, let me try and see if I can kind of explain it like succinctly. So you have your preferences, right? So it's like introvert, extrovert, you know, intuitive, sensor, feeling, thinking, and then perceiving, judging, right? So that's like the base level. Like that's who created all of this, which was Carl Jung. Carl Jung's theory of personality and stuff, what he created. And then what really like yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right, Carl Jung. Yeah, no, he's the goat out here. But yeah, so then when we kind of break that down a little bit, then it's like, okay, there are different, the orientation of each function, whether it's external, like out towards the world, or if it's more self-centered, right? Okay, so think of it like every introverted function is subjective and it's about you. Every extroverted function is objective and it's focused and pointed at others.
Okay.
So we're literally introverts because our first out of 4 functions is an introverted function. So this is like literally how we take in all information and reprocess all information, right? So your first function, your dominant function, is introverted feeling, and mine is introverted intuition. So I'm gonna read you what introverted feeling is. So introverted feeling, its nickname is ethics or authenticity. It values internal harmony. It instantly knows if someone's a friend or foe. It's judgmental, but it has stellar intuition about people. And it also is about unstructured time. So because it's introverted feeling, it means that when it comes to your emotions, you're well aware of them, you have a great understanding of them, but you're unreadable to other people.
Yeah. That sounds pretty accurate.
Well, I guess my question is like, what purpose does that serve to you? Because I'm sure you know very emotive people, right? So like super emotive people would have extrovert feeling. Their feelings literally out, and it's always about other people and external validation, right? So, I mean, it's a weird question to ask, but like, what does keeping those sort of things to yourself do for you?
What does it keep it to myself?
Like, because you know there's that other option of letting people know what's on your mind all the time.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you?
Why don't I? Because I just kind of want to like process things before I let them out. And because I can be so like, have such like mood swings. Like I mean, feeling at the time not necessarily be the same thing I'd be feeling like the next couple of hours or something like that. So I kind of always self-conscious about like processing those feelings before I can like let them out.
No, that's pretty much what I thought it would be. Yeah, I pretty much thought you would say that, but I just wanted to like, you know, get it from the source. Your dominant function, which is another thing, your dominant function is like the oldest part of like your ego. So it's something that started to like come to prominence when you were like 5 or 6 years old. So you've been able to do this since you were a kid. And with the other functions, we'll see they, like, as time goes on, you start getting like more hold of them. And now that I think we're both 30, we're getting really good at our inferior function too, which like overall makes us very well rounded. But yeah, so when it comes to introverted feeling, it's funny because I'm sure that you've seen a lot of instances in your life where like your dominant function it's a superpower, because having that ability to kind of keep things to yourself before like you express it, that's not something everyone has.
No.
not something. Yeah, that is not something everyone can do, and they would like to. Yeah, they would probably like to, but
I know a few people who could use a little bit more of that.
Yeah, they could use it, but they literally can't. They literally can't do it. So there's like a lot of attributes that's like with your dominant function, but I think the biggest thing to note is that it's effortless. It's not something you have to work on.
Like it's almost like subconscious. Like I just
exactly.
Without even have to think about it.
Yeah. You don't have to think about it at all. So we'll get to it like later on. But so I have that function, but that function for me is on level 3. So like the model that they use to like talk about functions is kind of like your dominant is like the driver in the car. I'm literally just doing this with my phone, just like okay. And then your auxiliary, the second one, is like who's like second in power, like mom in traditional gender roles. And then the teenager is the third, and then the baby is the fourth, meaning it's the one you have least control over, and is very immature. So for me, think about it, for me, your function is like the teenager. So it's a bit immature. It's like I have it, but it's gonna come so much later than the other things. And it's like, it's not even like any of these things are good or bad, because they all have a balance, you know? So
the pros and cons,
yeah, exactly. They all kind of balance each other out. So it's funny because the thing that is your superpower, it also becomes a bit of I did not know that's what they're doing. I don't know if y'all can see this. I did not know that was happening. I don't know if that's yoga, but yeah.
Super variation.
Yeah, super variation. But yeah. And so we'll talk about that too, because your inferior function is the thing you have the least control of, and it's literally the opposite of your dominant function. So what we like to say is that your inferior function, which yours is extroverted thinking, I'll go into that later, but your inferior function in a way is like your Achilles heel and your crutch, because it's something that you have an awareness of. But once again, until you get to a certain level of maturity, which I don't know you so well yet, so I can't really tell like off of knowing you, but it's kind of around this age range that it becomes better, and you become overall more well-rounded. So it's kind of like when people are kids and there's certain things, and then you see them like 10 or 15 years later, and you're like, I didn't even know you could do that, or I didn't even know you had that ability to do whatever it is, like have discipline or whatever. And it's like, it literally is because those things start to mature. People start to mature outside of just what their ego wants to do.
Okay.
My dominant, which I don't end up talking too much about mine because like the focus is more you, but just like as a comparison, mine is introverted intuition, which is nicknamed perspective. So it's the ability to grasp and get a sense of a pattern or a plan. It's information that's usually, someone is smoking weed, aren't they? Right? Information that is usually hard to understand and dissect is easily processed through introverted intuition, and it's also called conceptual intuition. So this is really annoying, and the fact that I love finding out about this, because it's so annoying, because I have a really good ability at seeing how certain things are going to unfold. Doesn't mean I'm psychic or anything. It's just like literally pattern recognition, right? So I can see how things are gonna unfold. And then in my life, and especially what I've noticed in the sorority, I used to do this all the time. I'd be like, this person's a problem. Oh my God, we gotta get rid of this person. But this person actually hasn't done anything yet. You know, so like no one, I just see it coming, but no one wants to hear that. Like, cause everyone's like, no, she's cool. Like, you know, I'm not gonna call any names out, but they're like, no, she does all the bake sales and she does all the, it's like, no, this person is fake. I'm like, this is gonna be, and then like eventually they get exposed, but it's like 5 years later. And what I've noticed, like in terms of it being my superpower, is like, I realize people have to wait for something bad to happen in order to process that, oh, maybe I should deal with this person. Like, that's mind-blowing to me. It's like, but you have to wait for something bad to happen? You don't just know?
Yeah, like, and like to me, like, cause I can, like, that's kind of like how I see it. Like, when it eventually does happen, like, it even frustrates me even more.
Yeah, it makes you so frustrated. It's like, I told you. And like, no one wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. So it has a positive and a negative in that way. Okay, so now we're going. What's up?
I had to ask.
What is this for? What? No, I'm just a nerd. This is a hobby.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
You guys so
Me too. Yeah. It was so funny. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Carl Jung is big in these streets.
I I can tell.
Yeah, he is a big wig in these streets. We're going on to auxiliary, which is our secondary function. It's so hard doing these things. And this is extroverted intuition, right? So going back to what I just kind of told you about how like there's a direction for each function. So I told you about my introverted intuition, right? So it's literally patterns that I've seen that's really being fueled by my experiences, right?
Okay.
What you have is extroverted intuition, which is being fueled by objective experiences. So literally less how you're processing things and more how things are actually being processed in the real world. So it's a little bit more...
So just not necessarily that I've experienced, but might have like read about or like seen other people happen, things like that.
You can make connections in things that like other people can't make connections in. Okay. So like extroverted intuition, its nickname is imagination or exploration. And it's about seeing possibilities everywhere and making abstract connections in the world around them. So this is more what I was telling you about, and this is literally why you're an intuitive, where I said that most sensors hate hearing this, but it's kind of true, is that they're living in a 3D experience, but because of intuition, you're living a little bit of a 4 and 5 and 60, where like those other worlds that are invisible to the eye are actual real worlds for you. Is a lot of them do a lot of like impromptu traveling.
Okay.
And they may not make their whereabouts known to others. And they value the peculiar, the abstract, and kind of like their overall value system is not like everyone else's. Whereas everyone else's value system is like extremely tangible. Like, oh, this is a good example. Like people's value system, I'm sure you see it because like, you know, we're 30 now and stuff. People are like, oh, I achieve this and then I do this and I do that. So yours is like the opposite. Like yours is like, I don't actually know what yours is. That's what I'm trying to get, some insight into it. It's like,
it's a little more abstract.
Yeah, and I'm interested in like if you see that in your own life on some level, like you see everyone going this way and you're like, I just don't value those things that it seems that everyone really values.
Yeah, like totally. Especially when it comes to like what do I call, like in terms of like money, what's the word I'm looking for? Like materialism.
Yeah.
Like materialism.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like when people talk about like what the goals are in terms of like in life, a lot of times it'll be like, you know, a lot of like materialistic stuff, like monetary things. I want to buy a house, one of these things. And to me, it's just like I want to, you know, take care of those around me. I just want to like be happy. Like it's these things that are like just
or experiences.
Non-material or experiences. I want to travel.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
But yeah, totally. I see that disconnect a lot, especially with like with people around my age. I guess because they're.
Hold on, wait.
Like, yeah, like I feel like people around my age, especially like starting to like really. I don't want to say get desperate, but it really starts to like worry about oh my god, like what am I doing with my life? Because I don't have like a house or like a car, things like that. Meanwhile, I'm just like kind of cruising along because I'm like at peace of mind, kind of. So like I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel that kind of disconnect sometimes.
Yeah. No, peace of mind. That's a big thing for extroverted intuition, and you're kind of like because you're not like taking in like the world, or you're not valuing what the world does in terms of tangible things, it automatically gives you that peace of mind because like desire is like the root of all suffering. You know, like it just why am I gonna stress myself about that like stuff? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's something else I wanted to add about that. Oh, okay, because I know like you're really into David Lynch stuff. So like that was the first thing I noticed when I saw his stuff. I'm like, oh, this is extroverted intuition all around it. And I'll tell you why. This is like, and that's why it's kind of cool like looking at different artists' work, because I can see like this shit is so cool that I can see what function they're using to process and make their art. The reason I know people can't stand David Lynch shit is because of all the loose threads. But loose threads don't automatically bother me.
I kind of like prefer that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, exactly. Like I kind of prefer. I'm like, wow, look how bold he is with all these freaking loose threads. Like literally, people when I read reviews of movies, like if anything, even a minor thing is left hanging, they're like, oh, I just couldn't like enjoy it because that one character, like I don't know what happened to them or something. I'm just like, it's fine. And this is why, for me personally, I don't know about you. For me personally, it's fine because so much of life is loose threads.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, like who is getting this much closure? You're right. I'm like, wait, where in your life are you getting this much closure? I don't get this much closure, like anywhere, so I'm not mad at it. Like,
it doesn't always make sense, just like these
no.
Lynch movies.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, what the fuck is happening? Exactly. If you're not thinking what the fuck is happening, like at least 5 times a week, like tell me what you're doing. Like I want to know what you're doing differently, because like that's like the place that I live in. My auxiliary is extroverted thinking, which is your inferior. Yeah, reading my notes is just gonna be weird. Like it's like it's not gonna make sense. But okay, so the nickname for extroverted thinking is efficiency. So it's efficient ways of putting plans into action. So that's my auxiliary. So there's another thing. Okay, yeah. So your auxiliary is also the function you use with the world. So we're like the first one, the introvert feeling. That's like you with yourself. Extrovert intuition is how you are with the world. Now, when it comes to that which is a perceiving function, being what you use with the world, it is kind of hard for me to interpret because I'm trying to think, how would you, okay, I'm gonna make a guess. Do you just like disappear sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. That's an extroverted intuition thing. That was just a guess. Okay, so you just disappear. What are you thinking when you disappear?
What am I thinking when I disappear?
Yeah.
I'm thinking I just need some like time to myself to like kind of just like process things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that like I have something against like I'm feeling something against other people, things like that. It's just that I just need some time to myself.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's also what I kind of thought. I just wanted to know. It's cool, like
I totally
getting that confirmation.
Like,
yeah. That's an extroverted intuition thing, and like people like at sometimes maybe people that have known you for a long time, they're just like, oh, that's just John. But maybe like new people in your life are like, where are you? Yeah. Like literally, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have another friend where his dominant is extrovert intuition. So you literally, like, I may not hear for this person for 7 months. And then when I hear from them, it's like a long stream of content. Like, there's so much. I'm just like, what? But it's fine. Like, I'm kind of used to it. So I'm like, that's fine. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, it definitely probably sometimes can kind of get you in like a certain level of trouble.
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
Yeah, that definitely happens. So for like extroverted thinking, I can tell you how it's positive for me and how it gets me in trouble. So it's positive for me because it makes me like really organized. Like I'm really organized, and I'm not just organized, like it's fun for me. Like I do that for fun. Like I love sorting things and putting things together and like making lists and stuff like that. Like that's kind of ingrained in my personality, right? Where it's negative, and I don't know, you may have seen it with me or not, it's like a lack of filter, where things just kind of come out because I've processed it, right? I've made my predictions, and so now I'm just gonna let it come out. It's the function itself is tactless. So like working on my tack has been a thing that it's difficult for me. As I'll never be as good as someone that has that's like a higher level feeler, like Aisha, for example. Like she's ISFJ. She's like very skilled at social stuff, like super skilled. Like those sort of thoughts are not just gonna come out. Thoughts are just gonna come out with me. You know what I mean? Like those thoughts are just gonna come out with me. So like that's where it gets me in trouble. But it also, and the reason why is because it's valuing, and all these things are valuing like what you think is important. Everything can't be important. So whatever you think is important, the positive is you're doing that thing. The negative is other things are going to shit. You know?
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, there's no way that you can do everything well, and just be this overall like stellar person. You know what I mean? So like at the very least, you know, I'm able to. Another cool thing about extroverted thinking is that, and I've seen in some of my girlfriends too, is it makes my temper run very hot, but then goes super cold. So like I get really angry, and then it just kind of goes away. I don't hold it. Other people may still be mad, but I'm just like, oh my god, why are you mad? Why are you
so over it already?
Yeah, I'm like, I've moved on. People are still thinking about that. So like that's what, you know, that does for me.
I see.
Okay, so now let's talk about the rebellious teenager. So, yeah. So, guys, look up stellarmaze.com. I think the guy that writes that blog is Blake. But Blake says that the third function, which is your tertiary, is your perfect function in that it's in the Goldilocks zone. So you don't use it too much or too little. You use it how it's intended to be used. The stuff above that, you overuse. This is what you use just right, okay? So this is introverted sensing for you. Sensing's nickname is memory. It's a perceiving function above information gathering. It focuses on subjective internal world of personal experience and compares and contrasts new experiences to past experiences and memories, and it's very traditional. For someone in their third slot, well, let me tell you that. For someone, if it was in their first slot, for example, they would be very in tune to what their body needs at all times. For someone like you, where it's in their third, you can forget things that are like important to like your body and wellness, and you're also sensitive to changes or uncomfortable things in your environment. So like overall, like where someone else may have a higher tolerance for like, I don't know, allergies, or if it's too hot, or if it's too cold, or if they're too sleepy and they're just like, I'm gonna just write it out. It might affect you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah,
like in
I
your
can
life?
totally see it.
Do you think it happens more to you like when you're stressed, or like under any circumstances do you feel like you're more in tune to like what's going on around you? And like how you're processing what's going on around you?
I definitely feel a lot more when I'm stressed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because then I'll start like overthinking and like being overwhelmed. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's probably something like, then at that point, like people kind of notice, like, oh, he's probably a little uncomfortable. Yeah, he's probably a little uncomfortable now. Yeah.
Especially me, because I feel like I'm very like stoic. So when like
yes, you are.
as soon as like something's bothering me, like I'm an easy tell.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because once again, the first two functions are so natural to you that it's so ingrained in your personality. Actually, can't tell you where this fact is from. Carl Jung said it's literally like 90% of your personality. Right? So anything that deviates from that, and this definitely deviates, people are going to be alerted like, oh, this is a little different. Also, that's what the bottom two functions are part of the id block. So it's also very automatic. That's why I said it's like the teenager and the kid, because teenagers and kids are like very like impulsive. And they're very like, they have less of a concept of, my needs come second or my needs come third. It's like kids, or like you can see like little toddlers. No, my needs are first. So so this is like definitely under stress. You'll see the inferior like popping out more. Another thing with psi, as it develops, there's like cool things to like, and we'll talk more about like ways to like improve and grow and stuff like that. But cool things that high psi users do that would be beneficial to you would be meditation.
I've dabbled.
You dabbled?
Yes.
What have you thought so far?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, but I just haven't had the discipline to actually like, do it on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But I do like the feeling of it. It's
Yes.
just get into actually doing it. That's the trouble.
No, that makes sense. I think like continuing in whatever modality that works for you will be like really helpful for you to like center you and to get you in a good place inside your body. I personally have tried, okay, this is hilarious, right? Because I remember hearing from David Lynch that he does transcendental meditation. Yeah. So I tried it. Now, mind you, I tried it from some like weird YouTube video. I had a crazy experience with it. It was really I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later, because it's like, it's a lot. I had a crazy fucking experience with it. So I don't know how much is work. And another thing for me too, and we're not going to talk about it within the scope of this video because it's too much, because there's like shadow functions. Introverted sensing is actually my demon function. That's shadow functions. It's a whole thing. It literally means it's my least developed one, but in my subconscious though. It's not even conscious. Okay. So the idea of being stuck in my head for my type, is like a scary prospect. It's just it's a whole thing. But for you, it's good. Like it's something that's like going to be part of like your growth process.
That's why I feel sometimes get stuff done.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuck in my head.
Yeah, exactly. What else is Psy? Oh, another thing with Psy. Are you interested in history at all?
Yeah.
Like fairly?
Yeah, fairly.
Yeah, so Psy cares about I can't deal with it. Psy cares about history, right? But it also cares about like personal history. And what you'll see from higher Psy users, which is so, and I've seen it in our mutual friend, she comes up in every video, it's so funny, where like their memory is so good. Like, okay, so there's an actress, I don't know if you know the TV show from the 80s, Taxi?
Taxi, no.
Okay, so it was a TV show from the 80s with Danny DeVito and like just a bunch of people, right? So there's an actress on there, is it Mary Lou Henner? Guys, look that up for me. She can recall what she's done and what she's eaten every single day, starting from the time she was 6. So that's like a disorder, like that's a little bit of a cognitive disorder. But for me, when I hear that, I think that's like extreme Psy. Like that's extreme introverted sensing, where it's like you have such a connection to your personal history that that's a superpower. That's something. Not only am I so bad at like knowing my own personal history, sometimes I get annoyed by nostalgia. Like for me personally, like my own nostalgia, that is. Like when people are like, oh Vanita, do you remember when? One, I don't remember when. And secondly, if I do, I just, you know, like, because like the other day, like I think Spotify sent me like a time capsule of like 2009. In 2009, we were partying a lot, and so and then just like hearing those songs like just made me just like kind of like feel it, like physically made me feel like I was back there, and I was just like, I don't like that.
You don't like that person you were before?
I didn't like what that person was experiencing.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't like what that person was experiencing. However, I think for you that would be positive mostly when you think about your own personal history.
It's very mixed because when I think of myself like in high school, like I think about like the close connection that I have with like some of my friends and things like that. But I also had that like experience where I was just like, I didn't like a lot of bad stuff happening around there. So I was like, I'm better off now. So it's mixed.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. When I talk to other high Psy users, they also have a really, and like I'm jealous, like, cause like I said, this is my demon function. So it's like I don't have this. They're able to look at their past, and even when super shit things happen, they can like pull the good out of it. So when you talk about it, it's like, and like I'll know the story. I'm like, but this happened and this happened, and they've literally just pulled the positive nugget so that they can re-experience. I think it's just like, yeah, the way people process it differently. So yeah, I'm like legit jealous. Like when I hear that, I'm just like, wait, no, I can see something. And I'm like such a pessimist where I'll be like, no, I remember the shit thing. Like I know this other stuff happened, but no, that shit thing happened. So it's like a thing to work on, like overall. But
okay.
But yeah, positive ways of experiencing like your inner sensations will be really good for you. Okay, so now we're on to, wait, did I say what mine was? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so mine is your, like I told you, is your dominant, is the introverted feeling. So how does that manifest in the 3rd slot? So it's the bratty teenager. For me, on a positive note, it gives me like a really intimate connection with like listening to certain music, like I said, can change my emotional state.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so it's like that's a big part of my life. So like now that I've been going to the gym like 5 days a week, it's great for me because I really listen to the music. Usually in my head, things are always running, like there's always a bunch of shit in there, but I love going to the gym and listening to music because there's just no space. There's no space for anything but like what I'm listening to. So yeah, so that's like the positive. I think the negative for me, and I'm interested like talking to a dominant introvert feeler, if you feel this, is 3 things. I have extreme empathy. I can turn it on and off, but my empathy is very extreme. Like I can get secondhand embarrassment for people. I can like, oh yeah, you experience that? Yeah, there's things, ooh, this is huge. This is something, this is not even like recorded. This is just something that like I've noticed between people that use extroverted feeling versus introverted feeling. So my friends and my family that use extroverted feeling love those, like, you know those murder shows, like the homicide,
true crime stuff.
Yeah, the true crimes, right? Like, you know, like Snapped and all that stuff, or like, you know, killer couples, and they'll watch it all day long because they have an internal boundary between the feelings of the other person and themselves, and that's a fucking superpower because I can't do that, and it really bothers me. Like, I had a friend send me a video of a trans person being beat to death, and I'm like, I'm literally about to like vomit. You can't send me these things, like, because I'm feeling it. Yeah. So like, have you like noticed like where it's like you think that the intensity of something that may not be happening to you, you can feel sometimes?
It's like you were saying with the true crime shows, like I love those things, but like I have my limits where like to bring it back to like how much I love horror movies and stuff, I can never watch that person die.
But you can't watch them die in the horror movie?
Like in the horror movie, it's like, like somebody's getting this memory or whatever, like I know that's fake, but like I can't watch a person like in real life, like I can't, even if it could be like I don't know, like the least gory thing, like we're just watching a person die, or like send me through the roof. Like, I can't. Like, it terrifies me. Because then I'll separate that between like, okay, this is like fiction, things like that, but I'm watching like this person, somebody's daughter or son, and like dying. Like I can't.
I totally share that, and I just want you to know that our sociopath friends and family that can watch that shit, and like not even just watch it, like literally all day. And like another thing, because I know that this channel, I think it's called Discovery ID. I know this channel is doing very well because they have themes for like holidays. Like if it's Mother's Day, it's Mothers Who Killed Marathon. And it's like, wait, there's so many stories that you could have a full 24 hours of that, and like my mom will watch that and she'll like love it. And I'm just like, how? This is so bad. This is a horrible world.
Does it seem like a I don't want to say a millennial, but just like a younger generation thing where like it is this popular? Because it seems like
I think it's both. Yeah, I think it probably initially was younger people, but I know older women that are all about it.
Older women?
Yeah, that they love that. Like instead of watching soap operas, like the way like moms and stuff used to watch soap operas, they're watching this real shit. Like, and not even just like, I don't even mind if it's like, I can't explain it, like, I don't like knowing about someone being tortured or someone, like, I just can't take that. I'm like, how is this not killing you right now? Why are you such a sociopath? So like also with these women, which I've talked about on my Instagram, they get favorites. Like they get favorite serial killers.
Oh my god, I don't get that.
They'll like love,
serial killers.
They'll love, like of course Ted Bundy's like, of course he's like fucking, you know, the superstar over here. Like, so yeah, he's like the superstar leading the pack, but there are other ones. There's like Richard Ramirez, you know the whole Scott Peterson case?
Scott Peterson, that was the guy with the double amputee killed his wife?
Yeah. So, you know, he went to Canada, he dyed his hair blonde, and then he got arrested, and he got, like, up until that time, like, a record amount of letters from women that are like, I love you, let's get married, and it's like, wait, what? I don't know what that is. Like, I kind of know what that is.
Charles Manson got married.
Yeah, he got married in jail. No, there were so many people like that. Like, there was the girl, the gypsy girl that killed her mom. She made her boyfriend, you know, that's the one I did see literally because I was like chilling with my mom that day. But that girl, first of all, made her boyfriend do it, right? She's obviously done with him now, and she's in jail, and she's engaged.
She's engaged now again.
Yes, I'm like, so some dude's like, this is exactly the girl I want in my life. This is my type of chick, you know? And I'm just like, wait, what?
She's still getting it.
Yeah, she still is. Like, she's like ready. She's betrothed. She's going to get married. So yeah, so that's something different. Like, that's like a negative because I wish that I had a little bit more of a internal boundary because like I'm just shocked. And literally what it comes from with them is because I've asked, I'm like, what? I asked my mom, and I asked her, I'm like, why are you so drawn to this? She's like, she feels lucky. She says she feels like it means like in her life she's avoided this. So it's kind of like, what's that word? Schadenfreude? Something like that? Where you like take a little pleasure in others?
You take pleasure in other people's misery.
Yeah, so it's that. I was like, that makes it worse. You fucking sociopath. So yeah, so that's a thing with Oh, one more thing with this, I tend to get super self-righteous about things that I consider to be just immoral or unethical. Like to the point where like, I could just like I'll split the person mentally because I'm just like, there's so many things that I hear, I'm just like, no, that's wrong and you can't do that. And then other people will find ways to justify like really fucked up shit that they do to intimate partners or like people that they steal from. And like, these are still people I love, but there's always something in my head that's like, yo, why am I best friends with a cheater? Or why am I best friends with a thief? Or why am I why am I close friends with like, you know, someone that like, you know, got someone pregnant and like didn't even help the person? Like, why am I and it's like, I think that there's a certain level of, at least for me, like black and white thinking. It's like harder for me to accept that like kind of we're all shades of gray. But I think that I become a little bit more judgmental of it in other people, because in my head, like, it's like a flow chart and my mind is like, oh, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah.
And then I'm sort of like a hypocrite about it too.
You're a hypocrite about it?
Yeah, totally. Because I'll be like, oh, this guy's like friends with a cop. Oh, I'm not a cop person, but like I have a friend who's like a cop.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. No. I totally hear that. It's difficult too, because if you have like really defined morals or ethics, okay, for one, like that's gonna put you in a whole different class of people, but at the same time, it is really difficult to keep up, because there are reasons why people do a lot of the fuck shit they do, and sometimes you kind of have to be in the situation to be like, oh, I didn't know it was like this. Oh, there are other times where I'm in the situation, I'm like, no, I would have never done that. All right, and I just proved it now. But there are other times where it's like I haven't been in the situation, so I actually can't say. You know what I mean? Like I can't say what I would do, even though like objectively I think like this is wrong. There are a lot of people in this world, and I'm talking about extroverted feelers and introverted thinkers, you already know who you are, that are able to keep a face of, think of it kind of like Bill Cosby. That's like an extreme example. Bill Cosby's probably an ENFJ too. I have to go into it, but anyway, like kind of like in terms of like the face you're showing is like, it's okay, it's more than self-righteous. It's like you've created a foundation of a whole persona that doesn't match anything that you do privately. Like not even like a little bit, like it's not even like, oh, you fibbed here and there. It's like you've created a whole other character.
it's like complete duality.
Yeah, exactly. And you've reconciled it. And I'm jealous of that too. Because if I did something like that, I couldn't reconcile it. Like I'm gonna be like mad at myself or hate myself. I'm gonna be like, no, like I'm a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And then it's not gonna work, because people are gonna be like, well, why are you a piece of shit? It's like, because I do all this fuck shit. But you would never hear him say that.
Yeah.
You would never say that.
Yeah, because then the mind is justified.
Yeah, it's justified. I'm just like, how are your morals this loose? Like, how do you do that? Like, that's a superpower. So, you know, needless to say, I don't see too many people with introverted feeling probably getting into politics, because there's just like a lot of lying that has to be done, and I just in general probably couldn't see them just being so easy with it, like so easy with the lies. Or could you? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I'm not running for any political positions.
Yeah, I can't do it, because I'm like, no, like I can't be so easy with the lies. Like if I know there's something I couldn't promise my like constituents and shit, like I'd be like, it's not gonna happen. Sorry, and then I'm not gonna get voted in.
I get overwhelmed and then
like,
drop out.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like that's totally not gonna happen. Okay. So now we're on the final function of the conscious function stack, which is the inferior. And the inferior, like I said, this is the toddler. I have a theory that because this is your weakest function, in many ways it actually drives your entire personality, because it's kind of like a reverse funnel, in that you're living on this end but you're seeing completely through the other end. So it's like, here's this. So yours is my auxiliary, which is extroverted thinking. So let's talk a little bit more about extroverted thinking in the bottom side. So on a positive, and this is from, I think this is from 16 Personalities. Like your type, INFPs are one of the few types that can use both sides of their brain. And when it comes to personal decisions, you actually are very left brain. But when it comes to work, it doesn't matter what your work is. Like I know like you're in tech or whatever, you can be like super creative and like right brain with it. So when it comes to personal decisions, when I say personal, I mean like the people you allow into your inner circle and like your inner world, where like maybe you don't know it, but you have like an internal checklist of things. And people are being like, so it's like what I told you, like how like I'll do the same thing, but I'll do it a little bit more blatant, like I'm a little, you know, I lack the tact. Like your type will do it with tact, but you're doing it in the sense of like, you may have people that's close to you, but the people that are really close to you, you're really sussing them out.
And is that why they kind of like tend to be like kind of like similar? Even though.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like going by what you were saying. I was just wondering, is that what like the people that I like consider like closest to me tend to have like similar qualities? And it's not necessarily that I'm going like, oh, I like this person because of this, but like I just automatically kind of like bring them closer.
Yeah.
Like subconsciously in a way.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that what you'll find is that people in your inner circle, like maybe not like visually, but like in certain qualities, probably possess the same thing because for whatever reason you've deemed those like the type of people you want to have around you. And I don't think
I've ever sat down and like, oh, this person's close to me because of this reason.
Yeah, no.
I just kind of let it happen.
Yeah, it just kind of happens. What else could it be? Okay, so another thing about the inferior function is that it's the last one to develop, so it gets stronger like as you get older. So, okay, so in a more pronounced way, let's say, I think I've talked about this before, but like if I was a man, right, like, and then I had a midlife crisis, that would be that fourth function coming out because I've been suppressing it for so long. So my inferior is extroverted sensing. Okay, so extroverted sensation is force. And its nickname is sensation. So it's about achieving things through either force or timing, like excellent timing. And it has instincts and observation that's matched with very decisive action. So say it achieves things by applying force to the environment to bend to its will, whereas introverted sensing, which you have, conserves energy and resources. And like if it were an animal, it relies on the prey coming to them as opposed to coming to the prey. So, and I think that's something that like, yeah, I see, like, yeah, like definitely, yeah. So, I think that's something that you could, like, within an introvert, within yourself, like, there's like two modes, because there's like a mode where like you're out there doing things and achieving things and you're just out there, and then there's another mode where like you're more pensive and you're probably a lot more comfortable in that space than the other space. But for you, like I said, that will be developing and or has started to develop now, where it's like a lot more action oriented. And like, yeah, in terms of like growth and stuff, like that's just something to kind of go with. It's gonna be clunky because you have to understand there's other people that have been doing this since they were kids. Like it just comes so naturally. Similarly, like for example, like EJs, so like ENTJs, ESTJs, like your opposite is an ESTJ, right? So they have extroverted thinking at their top. They've been bossing people around since they were 5 years old. They've been doing this shit, like they do this, you know what I mean? So you've seen these people and you see them just kind of do it, and like that's where my wonder and everything comes from, where I see people just effortlessly do things, and like if you ask them about them, it's not even something to think about. It's just I just do the things, or yeah, or I tell people to do something and then they do it. You know what I mean? So like that skill, once again, for you, that skill runs against introverted feeling, because introverted feeling is very respectful of other people's autonomy. Like it doesn't try to force its will on others, like at all. Like it feels like wrong or forced to do that. But then on the other side, extroverted thinking is what I told you. Like it makes a plan and executes it. So like I said, so because it's your inferior, it's in the back of your mind because you know that it runs the opposite. And interesting enough, you can do your inferior very well only because your inferior acts literally opposite to what you naturally do. So you're not gonna want to, But no, I was gonna say like it just kind of happens. It just kind of happens. So there may be times where like you surprise yourself and are like, oh, I've never done that before. And it's like, but like it feels good because it'll feel like natural for you. So yeah, so that will definitely like develop, like, and it also includes a certain level of long-term planning. So it's like as kind of like a compromise between the free-flowing, willy-nilly of like extrovert intuition. Like it's not short-term plans, but maybe like mid-range plans of things that you may want to execute or like see externalized in the real world. And like kind of following with that. It's not gonna be super, super long term, like where people are like, here's my 10-year plan. Like it's not gonna be that, but it may be like, here's like my 6 month, you know what I mean? Of like things that I wanna kind of move towards. So that's what it'd be for you. For me, oh yeah, this is what I was saying, that if I was a middle-aged man. So if I was a middle-aged man, it would be like the guy that's always been about school and work, and then like he buys a Ferrari and he divorces his wife. Like that's kind of what that would be.
Midlife crisis kind.
Yeah, it's definitely that. And it would also, how would it look in the thing is, okay, this is what I like about extrovert sensing. Oh, this is another thing about the inferior. People that do these things really well naturally attract you. Like they may attract you in a romantic way, but they also may attract you just like on like that person's inspiring or that person's like interesting to me.
I would say that some of the like my closest friends, so I would say like kind of inspire me, are exactly that type of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's kind of like, it's kind of like the other side of the mirror for you in that way. So for me, with the extroverted sensing, like I love giving this example, like someone who wields it so great is like a Cardi B or something, where everything is force and making things happen, and there's very little thought process that goes into it. Like the thinking about it comes after. It's like the shoot first. Yeah, exactly. Shoot first and then ask questions later. So for me, who tends to be pensive, and then not only am I pensive, I want to plan everything before I even do it. The sucky part, and this would apply for you too on some levels, is that you're kind of missing some shit. You're missing out on some shit. Because some shit comes once in a lifetime. Yeah, exactly. Some shit not only comes once in a lifetime, but are so situational based. And then there's some people that can just kind of latch on. Their negative or their con is that they're also likely to fuck up a lot though, and also like really alienate people and really make people angry. So like when people think that extroverts are better socially, watch them when they're really angry and stressed and tired and like going off on people, and you're like, oh my god, what's going on?
That's a bigger deal.
Yeah, and they don't even have the wherewithal to be like, I need to leave now. Like they just keep going until it's all out.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, my mom's like that. I know a bunch of people like that. We're like, they're gonna have this tirade, and it's gonna happen. And it's like, it's not even constructive. It'll be like just like some like, I'm feeling this way, I'm gonna spew this out, or like low blows. Because that's a big thing for me. I try, whenever I'm fighting with someone I care about, I try to never do low blows. It just makes me feel really sad. Are you about low blows?
I never know.
Yeah.
I like, as much as I like, even with like my closest friends, as much as like we may like argue and stuff like that, I don't think I've ever been like, I never should have said that.
Right, yeah. Because you're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna think later. Like, I still want to be friends with you.
Exactly. Like,
you know, I don't want to burn
my bridges. Yeah, exactly.
They burn fucking bridges. So yeah, while they are the charmers and stuff, a lot of the time, it's the funniest thing in the world to like watch them get set off or triggered by something. Because another thing about extroverts that's like both negative and positive is that they rely on external validation. The external validation has to happen. So in a way, even though it seems like they're controlling things, if they are, it's only because you're letting them. Because if you rebel in the slightest way, that's gonna be so threatening to them. It's gonna be super threatening to them because, oh wait, you're not doing what you're...
They're not in control anymore, so they feel threatened.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Whereas for introverts, a cool thing is that most of our validation is internal in terms of like our decision making and process. So it's like, I'm not gonna say I don't do attention seeking things, but I mean I do a lot less than a lot of people, you know? Like I do a lot less cringe things, like publicly or whatever, because, you know, or it could be like even like things that people post and you're like, why are you doing that? You know, like why are you? And it's because like that initial reaction is so juicy for certain types of people. And I'm just like, no, because like this is gonna, I have stories for you, I'll tell you. But yeah, so that is the inferior. Okay, I talked about both inferiors. Final thing, is there anything like thus far from like hearing all this that like, I guess, I don't know, that's like weird or like confusing or like...
It's weird in the sense that it's like things that I kind of knew, but like never thought about. Like I don't know, like you're explaining things that, how do I put it?
It's like adding labels or conceptualizing something.
Yeah, like I never would have thought about it in that way.
Right. And what I love about it is like, I don't really, like I know you, but I don't know you, but I know this much, even just knowing that about you. You know, and that's why I find it so useful. Another cool thing that you can do with it, or that this is literally what everyone uses me for, is like, they want to know how they're going to interact with another person based on the type. Like I can
Just
literally,
based on the personality.
yeah, I can literally do it. I mean, it's not gonna, like I said, it's gonna be just vague. Like it's gonna be super vague. It's not being psychic, but I could say overall, like this is where you might run into trouble versus this is whatever. So it's cool. Like I'm glad that like overall you like that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the people questionnaire from inside the actor studio. These 10 questions originally came from a French series. You know, I never know how to pronounce it. Bouillon de Couture, I don't know. Hosted by Bernard Pivot. Yeah, I do know. They're better known as the questions that James Lipton asks every guest at the end of Inside the Actors studio show. Blah, 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 blah. You'll be amazed at how much they reveal about a person's thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So the first one is, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Discombobulated.
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 Awesome. Okay. And what is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. Moist.
Someone said that. Yeah, that's kind of a winner in that it's a loser.
No.
It just brings up like a visual that.
Yeah, just something. I don't know. It doesn't bring any good feelings.
Yeah.
When I hear it.
It's totally common. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Creative, spiritual, emotional. Sense of adventure. Adventure, a good sense of humor. Definitely a sense of humor.
And similarly, what turns you off?
Turns me off. Being uptight. Not being empathetic.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Same here. What is your favorite curse word?
Favorite curse word? Asshole.
Asshole. Yeah. It's all purpose. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise do I love?
Yeah.
My dog's bark.
Oh. Even that annoying.
Even annoying. Like sometimes, even when I just want to like kick her ass, it's just like, yeah.
That's awesome. And what sound or noise do you hate?
Sound or noise do I hate? Sound of people complaining.
That's funny. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Profession? I want to be a cosplayer.
Oh, like what type of cosplay?
Maybe like nerdy stuff, like
Marvel
superheroes, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My dream is to run a like geek-related charity.
Oh, nice. I like that because I've like never heard of that before. Like a geek-related charity.
That's one of my goals.
Yeah, nice. And what profession would you never like to do?
Never like to do anything finance related.
Ah, yeah.
You'll never see me on Wall Street.
Yeah. Definitely. And lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Your loved ones are waiting for you.
Wait, what?
Your loved ones are waiting for you.
Oh, nice. That's like the only nice one someone has said before.
Really?
Yeah, they always say some weird thing, like they'll go off tangents, they're like, there's no God. It's like, no, just go past that for a second. It's a freaking question. All right, so this was great. I loved having John here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, awesome. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, bunnies.